Okay, welcome to another Star Wars Battlefront 2 Let's Learn video. Today we're going to be going over push and choke angles. So basically both of those force powers have values assigned to them that define whether or not the direction you're aiming and who's in your field of view will be hit by a push or a choke. And we're going to go over what those mean and also how you can use them in your gameplay. So first we're going to go through force push, and basically how push works is that there's a 120 degree triangle or cone from your character, and whoever's inside that triangle, as you see on the screen here, is going to be affected by that push. Technically this cone is actually slightly in front of your character, so like if you watch the push animation and see the hand go out, it's actually slightly before the hand, if that makes sense. So it's not actually at your character model, it's just slightly in front, which is why you can't push someone that's directly beside you. So like I said, anyone within this green shaded area are people that can be affected by my push. And now I'm going to give you an idea of what that looks like. So I'm going to stand basically at max push range or distance, and you'll see that as I start turning my screen, that OB can basically be on the border of my screen and my push is still hitting him because I'm using that full effect of that cone we were talking about earlier. Okay, in the second clip here, I'm a little bit closer to the OB, and you'll see that as I'm turning around, that he's still, pretty visible on my screen when he's not being affected by the push right here. And I just want to show this because the closer you are to your opponent or your teammate, the easier it is to angle that cone so that they're not inside of it. Now, force choke on the other hand, this one is interesting. So basically what choke does is it actually starts casting actually slightly behind your character model, and then what it does is it draws a ray, so basically a straight line forward through the center of your reticle that's represented by the pinkish line that you see, and then from that line you have two 20-degree cones split up on either side of that line that choke will work in. So that gives you basically, for lack of better words, a 40-degree cone total in terms of choke. So basically, if there is only one target in my cone, that target will get hit. As long as they're within this cone, they're going to be hit. However, if there are multiple targets, the choke is going to pick whatever target is closest to the center. So that whatever target is closest to the pink line is the target that will be choked. So again, I'm going to give you an idea of what this looks like. So you'll see that the OB is going to be choked as long as he's within those two yellow lines. He's going to fall in my choke. As soon as he goes outside those lines, I'm not able to choke him. So just to add another layer of complexity to this, you can also use target lock to basically tell choke to choke the enemy instead of your teammate. So you'll see in these clips that when I'm centered on to either target without target lock, that it will only choke who I am centered on, and as soon as I add target lock to the equation, it will only choke the person that the target lock is on. So now I'll turn target lock on, and you'll see I'm aiming right at the Anakin, but it's hitting the mace that's on the edge of my choke range there. Same thing on this clip, so you'll see that the Maul is literally right in front of me, but as long as I have the target lock on, it's going to choke the Luke every single time. Doesn't matter how close I am to the Maul or how far away I am, it's always going to hit that Luke. Last thing about choke is, and this is just my theory, but since the choke does start technically behind the character model, I believe that's why you can choke people that are behind you or even to the side of you. So you'll see here that I'm choking the OB actually behind me. He's actually behind me a pretty decent amount, and you're able to extend the range that this works by either looking up or looking down, as you see me doing in the clip. Okay, so now we're going to run through a few gameplay clips on the push portion of it, just to give you an idea of how useful this mechanic can be in your gameplay. All the clips are courtesy of Huey, by the way, so thanks to him for providing the gameplay for this video. So you see in this clip, Huey does a really great job of seeing his mace go for the kill, and then once his mace doesn't secure the kill, he actually angles his push to get just the maul, and he's able to secure the kill without messing up his teammate. So if he would have taken the mace down there with him, good chance that the Emperor player could have capitalized on that. Here's another example. So he's only getting top of the evaporator. He ends up pushing his Anakin down, and he pushes everybody down. And he angles that push, and you see the Anakin's actually up, and he only pushed the Obi and Luke. So he's able to secure the Obi kill, and his Anakin's actually able to secure the kill on the Luke as well. This is the last clip I'll show you. This is a really good one. So he pushes the Vader and his Luke. Then he angles the push just to push the Vader there, and Luke's gonna go for the kill. He misses the push, and then he pushes the Vader down, again keeping his Luke up the whole time, and that was Luke's able to secure the kill, while Huey's able to watch for other people potentially spawning in. One thing I do want to mention just before I wrap up this video is that the visuals I created for this aren't going to be 100% accurate to what actually happens in the game for a couple of different reasons. One is that we actually don't have a definitive way of proving where the animation or the cone actually starts. So I kind of just guesstimated based on what I saw. And second is that obviously the game is a three-dimensional space, and the cones are also three-dimensional. So when you're operating on a higher surface than what you're pushing or choking, or a lower surface, that can also affect the cones since it is three-dimensional. So what I created were actually two-dimensional representations of what happens if you're on a even playing field. So with all that being said, please let me know if you have any questions. I'd love to help, and I hope you enjoyed it.